If that story were happening today in 2024, it might go like this. Imagine the Jordan River, an isolated place in the desert, miles from anywhere. Yet this isolated place is full of people. They come by the hundreds. One or two at a time, they make their way. There's not really any road to this part of the wilderness, and somehow driving feels wrong, like it's cheating when they genuinely want to do the hard work. Not one of them even considered watching this over the internet. So they walk for a couple of days, some of them, streaming over the hills, across the desert, and down into the river valley. They know they've found the right place when they can smell the water and see a crowd gathering. Although they're tired, they quicken their pace, sling their bags off their shoulders, and budge up as close as they can. At the center of the crowd, a man is pacing back and forth. He's youngish, maybe 30, with hair that stands on end like he's been pulling at it in agitation. The man stops abruptly, and words burst out from him. "You brood of vipers! Who warned you to flee from the angry judgment to come?" The crowd relaxes. This is what they've come to John the Baptist to hear. Someone who will tell them the truth. These people look like they have made it. They have the college degrees, the well-paid jobs, the nice cars and houses, all the marks of success. But deep down, they are sure they are vipers. Those well-paid jobs, they are with for-profit health insurance companies. These people are low-level players, claims adjusters, appeals analysts, customer service managers. They don't decide what percentage of claims to reject or which procedures to cover. Mostly they're implementing policies made far above their level. They don't make nearly the money that the guys at the top do. But they are part of this exploitative system that makes vast profits by denying health care to sick people. When they read the Gospels, they recognize that they're not so different from the first century tax collectors who colluded with the Romans to extort money from their own people, or the first century soldiers who bullied and abused the neighbors they were supposed to protect. Here in the 21st century, every time these insurance employees determined that the ER was out of network, or the treatment is considered experimental and therefore isn't covered, or the routine screening was actually diagnostic and that has a 45% copay, they know they are harming people directly, immediately. Their neighbors hate them. Relatives don't speak to them anymore. They are lonely, and they feel spiritually empty, like they've gotten so far away from God's desire for them that they're not sure God cares about them anymore. So they are relieved when John the Baptist warns them about axes lying at the root of trees. That's the truth. They need to be cut down. They should be cut down. They want someone to help them separate out the wheat in their lives, what little there is, and burn all that chaff that gets in the way. They want lives that are more in tune with God's intentions of justice, healing, wholeness, peace, the flourishing of all people and all creation. And if John tells them the truth about themselves, how far they have wandered away, John can also tell them the truth about how to come home. So they respond to John's condemnation with openness, even goodwill. They know that change is coming. It has to. This exploitative system of for-profit insurance is not sustainable. It never was. And as the system staggers and creaks, getting closer and closer to collapsing under its own weight, these penitent employees want whatever comes next to be fairer and more just. But there's a more pressing question on their minds. What are they supposed to do right now? Do they all quit their jobs? John tells them, bear fruit corresponding to repentance. Act so that others can see that you have changed. Fair enough, but how? So they ask John, what should we do? He reminds them, you may feel helpless, but you're not. Opportunities to do things differently are everywhere. They're available to everyone. You're on the inside of this corrupt system. And that even at your level, that gives you power that I don't have here on the outside. So use the power you have for good. Serve God and God's people right where you are. You're supposed to deny 30% of claims. Maybe you deny 28% or even 25%. You're not supposed to approve this medication except in very narrow circumstances. You can fudge that. You're supposed to let a denial of a claim be the final word. You can encourage the patient to appeal. It will be costly to you and risky. You might be put on a performance improvement plan. You might miss out on the year-end bonus the company gives for meeting its targets. You will have to be satisfied with making do with less. But doing the right thing where you are will help you get ready for the one who is coming after me, the one who will gather up all the harmful things in the world and burn them with fire. He'll bring the change we all want to see. To an outsider, John's harsh words sound pretty threatening. But for these insurance employees, it is good news. It's the good news they have been longing for. Because John assures them that they are not beyond redemption. God has not written them off because God does not write anyone off. God cares enough about them to invite them to change. And change doesn't have to be heroic. Quitting their jobs with some kind of dramatic flourish is an option. They could do that. Maybe some of them will discern they need to. Or they can serve God where they are. They can be faithful to God where they are. They can do real good for real people where they are. After John stops speaking, he turns his back on the crowd and walks down to the riverbank. Pushing aside the reeds, he steps into the water and waits. The crowd lines up, eagerly but graciously, doing that overly polite thing of, you first, no, you, I insist. And then silence descends. The only sounds are birdsong and the splashing of water. One by one, the crowd takes off their hiking boots and wades into the river out where John stands. They let him push them fully under the water, hold them there for a moment, and then lift them back up again. Then each one staggers back to the shore, soaked and shivering in the breeze. As they wring out their clothes and pluck weeds from their hair, they notice they feel different somehow, purified, as though the water has washed away the chaff that threatened to overwhelm them and left them holding their precious grains of wheat. They know now in their bodies that God has not given up on them. And where they have been spiritually empty, God has been waiting to refill them with courage and persistence and hope. They are ready to return to their lives, ready to meet the one who is coming. They lace up their boots, pick up their bags, and begin the long walk home. And when they get home, that sense of being different now lingers. They begin to serve God where they are. They are faithful to God where they are. They do real good for real people where they are. As they change their lives to be more in tune with God's purpose, they notice that even though they have less, they are flourishing more. And for the first time in a long time, they have joy. Coworkers notice too. One by one, colleagues are pulling the newly baptized aside to ask, "You seem changed. What happened to you, and how can I get some of that?" And the newly baptized share John's good news. Opportunities to do things differently are everywhere. They're available to everyone. God has not written you off. God never writes anyone off. We can serve God where we are and do real good for real people where we are. I'm doing that, and it's made all the difference for me and for the people I can help. Change is coming. The one who is coming will bring the change we all want to see. We can get ready for him here, now, right where we are.